Today, we're going to check out the Womier X98, a gasket mounted 98% tri mode keyboard that actually had a few little surprises. So let's talk about it. When you dive straight into the box, the first thing you're met with is your X98 Quick Start Guide. This is a handy little card that tells you everything you need to know to get the keyboard set up, from Bluetooth to wired to wireless to different functions. It's definitely handy to have until you learn your keyboard, so I would have set that aside. Next up is your user manual. Again, this is additional information about the keyboard itself. It'd be good to hang on to this, although you can download it from Womier's website in case you lose it. But again, it is handy to have until you really learn the keyboard. So once again, we're going to go ahead and set that aside. Next up is your combination keycap and switch puller. This keyboard is hot swappable, and of course you can change keycaps. So it's a combination puller, keycaps one side, switches on the other. After that, we have our USB-C cable. This is your standard USB-C cable, nothing special here. I like the included cable tie, but it's not braided, it's just a regular cable. It's alright. But yeah, moving on. The last thing you'll have in your box, besides the keyboard itself, is 2 additional switches. These are definitely an interesting choice for this, and it's not what I was expecting, but we'll talk about that more later in the video. However, we do love the inclusion of additional switches, just in case. Now we'll get to the main star of the show, which is the keyboard itself. So the Womier X98 is a 98% keyboard. So as you can see here, you retain your layout, so you have arrow keys and a numpad, and then a couple of your function keys have been moved to the top above the numpad. It's a really sleek layout, it looks pretty good. I do like that they included the delete key above the backspace key. I like that location for my delete key. Also, it is a pretty sleek looking keyboard with the legends front facing, and they are shine through, so the RGB lovers that like the shine through, this keyboard has the shine through. So you'll be able to see the legends when it lights up. Now, the other thing I noticed is there's not a lot of branding standing out on the keyboard itself, which I do prefer. I think it looks a lot more sleek, especially with the color gradient on the top and the node legends on the top. I think it looks really clean overall. Flipping over the back, we can see that we have some simple line designs as well as 2-stage flip-up feet. So the top stage are really firm, they lock in place, really solid. If we flip those down, we flip up the tiny ones, those don't lock as well, but I did test it out and it doesn't slide around or they don't collapse when you're using the keyboard. So all in all, not bad. Just wish those little ones locked a little stronger. Additionally, across the bottom as well as the flip-up feet, you have rubber pads or rubber feet, so the keyboard won't slide around a lot while you're using it. If we flip over the top edge here, you can see that our controls are here for switching from Windows to Mac. We have our USB-C port, and then our mode switcher from wired, wireless, and Bluetooth. This is also where the dongle is kept for your wireless. I think this is really easy to access. I like the way it's stored. I like the location, and again, I like that there's no major branding on this. I think it looks pretty clean. Now, one thing I definitely noticed while handling the keyboard is even though this is a full plastic build, it had a little heft to it. So let's go ahead and pull out the scale and give it a weight and see what we're working with. Now, typically plastic keyboards don't ever really weigh a lot, but this one comes in at just over 1 kilogram. So it's a pretty nice hefty keyboard. It's kind of surprising that a plastic keyboard is now coming in over 1 kilogram, but we kind of love to see it, honestly. And then the other thing is it's gasket mounted, so I'm expecting this keyboard to have a lot of flex. And then pushing on each zone of the keyboard, it definitely has that flex that a typical gasket mounted keyboard has. But the surprising factor was that there was no real zone of the keyboard that felt like it had more flex. As in, no area felt like it bottomed out more than another area. Which is kind of surprising, because it's usually the problem with extremely flexible keyboards is that like the center of the keyboard will feel like it bottoms out more. So this is really cool. I'm honestly kind of shocked and surprised. But again, it's a gasket mounted keyboard. It should function like this. It just doesn't always do it. So hats off to you, Womier. This is a really cool point. But next thing we need to do, we need to start diving into the keyboard itself. So we'll first remove a keycap and we'll take a look at that. So these are cherry profile, side printed, double shot PBT keycaps, and they're shine through. So RGB light will shine through the legends. But honestly, I'm usually not a fan of anything shine through. They're usually really thin and they don't feel good and they don't produce a nice sound when you're typing. But if we grab our calipers here, we can actually see that these come in at about 1.4 millimeters, making this probably the thickest shine throughs I've ever used, to be honest with you. And granted, I haven't used a lot because I don't like shine throughs. This is kind of surprising. They also didn't feel bad at all. The finish felt really good, the colors were edge to edge, there was no chipping, and overall the typing feel was enjoyable. I wouldn't say they're the best thing in the world, but I do think when shine through, they're pretty dang good. So yeah, surprising. Like, even trying to squeeze it here, like, they don't bend like normal, shine through keycaps do. Usually they're so thin that you can press them with your thumbs and they'll bend, but these didn't. So, another point. This is pretty cool to see. But enough about keycaps, let's go ahead and move on to switches because I thought this was really interesting. At first glance, these looked like Otamu whites, but I was really confused because Otamu whites are silent, and these aren't silent switches, these are linear switches. So yeah, I was first confused, but then I noticed that I think these are Otamu coconut whites, which are a 45-gram linear switch, and honestly, they feel pretty good. They're really snappy, and they feel lubed. If we go ahead and open up the switch, we can actually see that they are in fact pre-lubed. And honestly, they're lubed kind of well. The fact that they aren't over-lubed and they don't appear to be under-lubed, it's honestly almost like they hand-lubed them. Like, it's a pretty good lube job. I would always check for yourself though, because, results may vary. But for me, these were pretty well. So let's go ahead and take the rest of our keycaps off and our switches out and keep diving into the keyboard. Alright, with everything out, now we can go ahead and start checking our stabilizers. I do this by grabbing a pair of tweezers and just lifting up the stabilizer stem, and we're just going to check if everything's lubed. And these are in fact all pre-lubed. Again, I also think they're lubed with a moderate amount. I don't think they're over-lubed, and they are definitely not under-lubed. So yeah, this is pretty good points. I do like that. The next thing we see is we have a relief cut polycarbonate plate. It is not full flex cut, there's just some relief cuts in it, which I don't think is bad, and is typical for a gasket mounted keyboard. We also notice that we have south facing RGB, so we won't have any interference with keycaps, and our shine through should be nice and bright. So that's pretty cool. All in all, it looks pretty impressive, it looks really good, but next thing we need to do is figure out how we get in the keyboard itself. Now I don't see any screws on the top of the plate or anything on the top side, so we'll flip over the back. We're going to check the back for any screws. Make sure you always check under your feet as well, so we'll flip up our feet, verify there's no screws there. Then we'll flip it back over to the top. We see these two screws, so we'll have to take those out, and then I think the rest will be just a pry and pull method. So just buckle up because this part can be a bit more difficult if you've never done it before, but I don't think it'll be too hard. So we'll first start by grabbing an Allen key, and we'll go ahead and take out the screws on our control module or control panel, if you will. Once you have those out, then the entire plate is easy to pop off. There's no clips or anything like that in the little control plate or the plate covering for the switches. So we'll just go ahead and also pull out your USB dongle. I always forget this step. Make sure you pull it out. You don't want to lose it while you're building or taking apart a keyboard. But once you have that out, now everything will fall out. Now you have your plate cover that identifies where your switches go, but also this is important because these little switches, make sure that when you're putting everything back together, the switches line up to where you're installing your switch indicator. If you don't do that, bad things can happen. You can break off one of the switches, you can have it to where it'll never be on the right mode that you're switching it to, so just be mindful of that if you're taking this all apart. After that, I think it's time we move on to figuring out how to get into the keyboard, and it's probably just going to be with some pry tools. So we'll go ahead and grab our plastic pry tools, and we'll start going around the edges to go ahead and pop the clips off on the internal side to get everything loosened up so we can separate the case. Again, all we do is gently slide our pry tool back and forth between the edges. You can put a little pry tool in to hold it open as well. Once you do this a few times, you should hear all the clips, snap, and you should be able to take off the keyboard. You don't want to rush into this part because you can damage the keyboard. But once you feel like you got everything off, you'll be able to lift up the case, no problem. Once you lift up the top of the case, you can see that it's just a plastic top case. There's nothing special, nothing fancy in here. It's your standard affair, so we're going to go ahead and set that aside, and we'll keep moving on to the keyboard itself. Now, if you made it this far, what you're going to do next is you're going to go ahead and gently lift up your plate in your PCB. This will dislodge the gaskets from their little holsters, and then you'll flip the PCB away from you. This will reveal your cables that you need to disconnect, and you want to be careful with this. You don't want to risk damaging these cables because that will render your, keyboard obsolete. It's 3 cables in total. They're really simple. They're not glued in or anything. It's just simple clips. So if you give them a little pull, they'll come right out. These were really simple to get out and put back in, and it took no time at all. Once you free those from their housings, now your PCB and your plate are free from the bottom of the case. We can set the bottom of the case aside for a second and check out what we have with the plate and the PCB. Now the next thing we do is to separate our plate from our PCB. If you flip over the PCB, you'll locate a number of screws. Now you'll need a Phillips screwdriver, of course, to get into this, but there are a shocking number of screws, just to forewarn you. Like a definite surprising amount of screws holding this plate on. Which isn't a good or a bad thing, it was just surprising. But once you have those out, now we can separate our plate from our PCB, and we can explore what we have actually under the plate. So the first layer we have here is a PET pad, or a PET sheet, if you will. It's a clear sheet. Usually these are sometimes adhered to the PCB itself. I do like it when it's not adhered, so if I choose not to run it, I don't have to. After that is an IXPE switch pad, and this was kind of caught me off guard, is this felt a little thicker than a normal switch pad. It also felt more dense. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It should make for a better sound overall. And then lastly, you have your pour-on foam or your pour-on cotton, depending on who you ask. But I call it pour-on foam. But yeah, this is another foam to enhance sound, give you a bit deeper tones like the thought that you're looking for. Again, this isn't for everybody. Some people want to remove all this because they don't like the sound of foam, which is completely fine. But that would be how you do it. So now you're left with your bare plate. You have your stabilizers, which are clip-ins, and then you actually have your gaskets, which your gaskets are mounted all the way around on these little hangers. They're super easy to take off and put on, but also, trust me, if you're going to take apart the keyboard, you'll want to keep an eye on these because sometimes they just fall off really easily. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at our PCB. Now the first thing I noticed with our PCB is that it actually has relief cuts on it. So it adds to the flexibility of the gasket mount. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's actually the perfect amount of flex, to be honest with you, because I'm not in a huge amount of flex, but I think this feels pretty good. We also have our hot swap sockets, and it appears to be an ANSI only layout. So let's go look at our case. Now our case tells an interesting story as well. Now typically you would have just like an EVA foam or some simple foam here, but we have an EPDM switch foam, which is really dense. It feels pretty good, honestly. It's a lot more dense than other keyboards I've taken apart at this price range, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we also have an EVA base pad, is what they call this. It's kind of shinier, also kind of interesting. There's usually like another piece of PET down here, but the EVA does its job. And then we have a silicone base pad. And we've talked about silicone base pad on this channel a lot, and I'm always curious of what you guys think of it. So let me know in the comments below what you think. But this one kind of caught me off guard too. So not only I couldn't get it out because it was actually stuck under the daughter board, which was interesting. That's something I've never seen before. But if we unscrew our daughter board and then lift it out, as you can see here, a little daughter board, you can actually see that it was literally around the screw post. So you were not getting that out, period. Like it's just not happening. But yeah, the other thing I noticed here is that it's solid. Now, typically the silicone, they'll have like notches and holes cut out, not only for features like this, but for like just space saving. It would be like a hard line and then empty, hard line and empty. But this one was a solid chunk of silicone. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Once you take that out, you have your side rails for the side RGB because this keyboard, again, has a lot of RGB. So yeah, you have the little diffusers for your side RGB. And then you have two 5,000 milliamp hour batteries, giving you 10,000 milliamp hour battery bandwidth total. So yeah, bandwidth, capacity. Yeah, capacity. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, that's it. That's all that's in your case. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this all back together and let's go set up the software and take a look at it. So to get the software, we're going to go to Womier's website, which is womierkeyboard.com. We're going to actually go to keyboards and we'll select the X98. Once you're on the X98 page, we're going to scroll down to where it says downloads. Then you'll see the software tab. Also note, there is a manual download. So in case you lose your manual, this is where you can download it. But we're going to go ahead and select software. You'll download that and install it. Once you launch the software, the first place you're bought is your key assignment. You'll see your X98 keyboard and you'll be able to change any of the keys, including FN1, FN2, tap, or just default, which is the entire keyboard. To change any keys, you just select one and then you can select from the corresponding options below. So here, I'm going to change my A to a B. So you'll see the default is now A, but my current selection is a B. So anytime I press the A key, it'll type a B. Pretty self-explanatory. There's also a reset button in case you screw up or you want to change keys. There's also a lot of options at the bottom. Not only do you get the option to change anything on the keyboard, like your letters and numbers or anything like that, but you also have mouse, multimedia, macro, commands, so things like shut down and such like that. You can program those onto a key, and then you have key combinations, so like multiple key presses on one key. It's all pretty good, it's easy, intuitive, not bad. Next up is your lighting. These are your built-in lighting options. There's a ton of them, including off in case you don't want to run RGB, but once you select the RGB that you like, you can adjust the brightness from 0 to 4. You can also adjust the speed from 0 to 4. And then you can also adjust your color palette. So any specific colors you want to run, you can set it up here. It's pretty simple. Next up, you have your effects. This is RGB as well. This is reactive. So any computer sound comes through, it will change your keyboard. So if you're playing a game, your keyboard will react accordingly. Next up is your macro panel. You can record, assign, and change macros. Lastly is your settings, which honestly is at the top, which is kind of weird. But other than that, it's your simple settings. Device, info, language, startup, exit, anything like that. I always check my sleep when I'm in here just to see what my keyboard is set for sleep, if it's on or off, anything like that. You can change here. So that was an overview of the software. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the RGB and night. So all set up on the desk, and honestly, the shine through is looking pretty good, which is surprising because I'm not huge in a shine through. And the side lighting looks cool with the edges lighting up on the desk. And then everything is super legible. It's really easy to read, and it's pretty vibrant. And the top-down view shows how vibrant it can get if you have the brightness all the way up. But how does it sound? So, what are my final thoughts? Well, after using it for a few weeks, taking it apart and seeing everything, I have some good and I have some things that I like to talk about. The first good is the fact of so many options with connectivity. You have wired, wireless, and Bluetooth, making it easy to pair anywhere you go to anything you need to pair to. Windows and Mac mode, it doesn't matter what you use it for. That's great. You also have pre-loop stabilizers, loop switches, which is all good. And honestly, to my surprise, the keycaps felt pretty good. The shine through offers a lot, especially if you're working or gaming at dark and you need to look at your keyboard. And honestly, aesthetically, it looks really good. The gradient design and the overall, where there's no branding all over the keyboard, makes it look clean and sleek. On the desk right now, in my current work setup, it looks really good. So I like that a lot. Now the bad is, I don't think really bad. It's the fact of the offering comes in at $80 on sale and it could go up. And it's hard to compete in that market with so many other competing products. Also, the fact that it looks like other keyboards that are on the market kind of makes it hard to stand out on its own. Like, I don't know what the curb appeal would be or the personality of it because it kind of just looks like other keyboards. So that could be a win or could be a bad. I mean, it's really up to the consumer. For me, I think the keyboard's pretty good. Again, we're really toting a line here because there's other offerings that come in at this price range, so it would be interesting to see how well the X98 will do. But that's all for me. I would love to hear your thoughts below. Do you think it's a good offering? Is there another keyboard you would get instead of this? Or do you love this keyboard? And tell me why. I'm really curious to hear. I would love to connect with you guys in chat. But if you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for watching. If you could drop a like and hit subscribe, it would mean the world to me. And if you want to check out the X98 for yourself, it'll be linked in the description box below. I also just made an ASMR typing channel. If you want to check that out, it'll be linked there as well. But that's it. The end. Thanks for watching. And remember, keep keyboarding.